Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch, and this was blowout weekend as far as the NBA. Blowout after blowout after blowout. It was just not a single game that I really was entertained, with exception of Utah Memphis. That was a good game. That was it. Every game was just ugly. We'll start with the Suns and the Lakers. And the Lakers were cruising up 11. AD gets hurt, and they just completely fell apart. The Suns outscored them 31-26, then 27 to 15 on their way to a 192 win. And this was the revenge of Jay Crowder, because him and LeBron got into it the last game. He had 17 points, 3 of 8 from 3, and 7 rebounds. He played really good. Paul was able to play. So that way that took the pressure off Payne. Paul was solid. Paul had a Chris Paul type of game, 18 points and 9 rebounds and 3 steals. That is winning. That is the winning formula if you're the Suns, when you're getting Aiden doing what he does, 14 and 17 rebounds. If A's going to give you 14 and 10 or 20 and 10 or 14 and 17, that's what you want. Do you need a third guy if you're going to be at LA? And you got it today, and Crowder. And listen, Bridges hit some big 3-point shots to get him going. He was 3 of 8. He had 11. Payne had 13 points. He's been a pain to the Lakers. So they were solid. LA, LeBron was good. At his age, 25 and 12 is okay at 36. This is the type of game you needed 48 out of LeBron. You're not going to get that. You'll get one game if they get past Phoenix, and that's a big if, where he'll probably have one of those 50. I think that's still in him. But the norm is 25 and 12, like he did today. And with AD being hurt, the rest of the team, and they have he's talented, but they play a whole lot better when AD plays well. He's in healthy and well. The rest of the team just takes off. When he's gone, they just fall apart. You're not going to get anything out of it. Kuzma at 11. Gasol is solid at 12. But Drummond is more or less, he feeds off that. He had 10 rebounds, but Wesley Matthews didn't really do anything. Schroeder was bad, and they need Schroeder. Schroeder has to be good. Schroeder can't be 3 of 13. You'll lose game 5 if Schroeder's 3 of 13. Schroeder's got to be outstanding. Can he be? That's the thing. But Phoenix ties the series up after getting beat up. And LA was on their way. If AD is healthy, the whole game, they're up 3-1. But, it's growing. He's probably not going to play game 5. You figure that the Suns are going to win that game 5, and then they're gonna rush it back for game 6. Can he be healthy? So if you sit him game 5 and he's healthy for game 6, you just take your chances and try to force a game 7 and take it from there. But to defend the title sometimes, like when it's easy the year before, it's always very difficult the next year. And this was going to be difficult from a mental and physically fit standpoint. Are the guys going to be, is everybody going to be healthy? That's going to be the key. But I got to see where AD is before I make any predictions, because tomorrow they'll reevaluate it. If he's out for this series, the series is over and the Phoenix will win. I can't see Phoenix losing the series after that. But if he could play game 5, game 5 is going to be a tough game for LA, because that Suns crowd is going to be loud. They smell blood. They are confident now. They weren't as confident after game 3. They didn't look confident. Now, when AD left, their whole countenance changed. And now the Suns are in a position where they can win the series. But, LeBron still, I wonder if he will try to go for that 40 burger in game 5 and just try to go off and say, listen, carry me. Can he still do that? He can't be what he was 1 of 7 from 3. He's got to hit some threes. They got to play amazing defense. The defense is solid, but Phoenix is very tricky. Booker is very good as far as getting 2-point shots. And you got to hope Bridges ain't going to be hitting the threes like they did today. And Payne playing so well. Very interesting. It's a character game. This is going to be very interesting to see what happens in game 5. Now, they will end up playing the winner of the Nuggets and the Blazers. And the Blazers blew out the Nuggets 115-95. That was a throwaway game because the Denver's mentality, and I know Coach Malone was not happy, but they said, we got game 3. And they kind of let down a little. Portland was desperate, and it was ugly. It was a non-competitive from the start. Powell had 29 points. They just gave him a beating. Covington had 9 rebounds, and they're singing happy birthday to Carmelo Anthony, the crowd. That was kind of cool. But that's going to be a 7-game series. That is going to be back and forth. It's hard to tell who's going to win that series. That's the best series to watch. I think both the Suns, Lakers, Nuggets, Blazers are up in the air. It all depends on who's healthy. It all depends on who's hitting shots. That's what's awesome about this league right now. What's not awesome is let's get to the Clippers. They are just beating breaks off the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm going to tell you about the Dallas Mavericks. Game 3, they're up 2-0. Game 3, they're up 30-11 in the first quarter. And right then and there, you got to try to say, listen, let's get this game. Let's put pedal to the metal. If they come back, hold on and win. But in the first quarter, after what happened was the LA Clippers go on a 25-1 run to end the quarter with the lead. Now is it. And once the Clippers are even, they're leaving. And they're blowing the Mavericks out 86-64. Paul George has been playing well these last 2 games. 20 points, hitting shots. Leonard has 29. Batum's playing well. Reggie Jackson's playing really good. And Rondo's Rondo, man, plus 14. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a block. I mean, he's Rondo. And they stopped playing Patrick Beverley. That was smart. And they really gave a steady diet to Rondo and Reggie Jackson. And that changed the dynamics. Their defense is better. And Dallas, after that lead, and the Clippers threw that run on them, Dallas lost their confidence. They're tight right now. They were hitting all types of 3-point shots in the first 2 games of LA. They are tight. The Clippers are in control. The Clippers will win that series. The Clippers are going to beat up the Mavericks again in game 5. I'm a nice guy. I'll give the Mavericks game 6. And then they'll get beat up again in game 7. The Clippers will move on. And who will they play? I think it's going to be Utah. I think Utah, with Mitchell coming back, they righted their ship. That was a good game. Because Memphis, they play hard. They don't have as much talent as Utah, but man, do they play hard. But Mike Conley, I see Donovan Mitchell's 29 points, and in the fourth quarter, he was getting a lot of and one. He was using that big, strong body of his, going to the basket, creating his shot. He had 5 assists too, but Conley, with the 8 assists and 27 points, played outstanding. And he was giving it back to whoever was guarding, whether it was John Morant or Dylan Brooks. Bogdanovich had 15 points, big in the fourth quarter. Gobert had 15 points, but a lot of Gobert's points were off the alley-oops from Mitchell and Conley. They got a nice little setup where Gobert is really good at rolling to the basket, catching the ball, and slamming it. He blocks shots. He had 4 blocks, so he played good. Clarkson had 15. Jordan Clarkson, 15 points off the bench. Great player. And Niang, I like. He's a solid role player. So Utah is back in front. They're up 2-1. Morant had 28 and Brooks had 27, but it's a huge drop off after that. Grayson Allen had 17 points. You can't rely on Grayson Allen getting 17 points again. That was one of those days he was hot. He's not normally. He's a 3 to 5 point guy, and they got nothing off the bench. They just don't have a bench. Valanciunas is okay with 10, but they going forward. Memphis has got to get another guy. I don't know what free agents are going to be interested in going to Memphis, but if they could draft smartly, they have to go that route. But Utah, I believe Utah's going to win in 5, and I'm going to tell you something. Utah? But Memphis will hustle their way to a victory, whether it's game 4, game 5, and then Memphis puts them away in game 6. Utah and the Clippers is going to be a great series because you got 2 great veterans in Kylie and Rondo. You got the stars with Mitchell, the young lion versus the middle-aged lion and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George is playing better. Clarkson's playing good. Paul George Ingles and Paul George do not like each other. I remember the OKC series. They were talking junk, and they were ready to get into it just about every game. So Paul George didn't play as well. He's going to be out for revenge against the Jazz, but that's a great series. That is a great series. I'm going to tell you what else is a great series, too. The Nets and the Bucks. They're going to end up playing each other because the Bucks whooped up on the Heat 120 to 103. And I'm going to tell you what I like about Giannis. The last few years, they built the wall. Giannis kicks it out. Guys don't make shots. Guys are making shots. Giannis, the first 3 quarters, trust him. Never forced anything. Kicked it out. Was very patient. He had 15 assists, okay? 20 points and 15 assists for a big. Well, he's kind of positionless because he can dribble and score. 15 assists. It were big-time assists. And I'm going to tell you something. This Brian Forbes kid, 7 3-pointers, he was nailing 3-pointer after 3-pointer after 3-pointer. Holiday played well, plus 10. Middleton, plus 17. 11 rebounds, 20 points. Middleton's a big time. He's their second best player. And Brook Lopez, 25 points. Just cleaning up, getting the ball in the post, getting the ball on the run when he's catching the pass, showing that little hook shot. The Bucks are playing at a good level. I usually don't trust the Bucks. I really like where they're at. Defensively, they're solid. Offensively, they're very efficient. And Giannis has learned how to play in the playoffs. Now, the jump shot may come. He's still working on that, but he understands now how to beat that wall. And he didn't before. Now he got it. So it's going to be very interesting going forward. They're going to play the Nets. And I'm going to tell you something. The Brooklyn Nets, that was as systematically efficient and scary of a game as I said. They beat the Celtics 141 to 126. Durant had 42. Harden had 23, and Harden was aggressive. Harden was going to the basket over and over and over and over, which he hadn't done, which created shots for Harris, who had 14, who had 5, where he had 4 3-pointers, and Brown, who was solid as far as the toughness they need. And then the man, Kyrie Irving, he put on a show. And they started out, boo, boo, boo. By the time he got his 39th point, the crowd was like, boo, boo, boo. He took the life out of the crowd. There's a couple plays. He did a dribble drive where he shot with his left hand. It was gorgeous. And then he did a move where he shot off the glass like MJ. Little kiss off the glass, hanging in the air is gorgeous. And then the Brooklyn Nets look fantastic. And Kyrie, Durant, and Harden There's symmetry between these three guys is amazing, but I always felt like that was going to be the case. They just decided they're just going to play off each other. Is this the unselfish mentality these guys got? That's going to be the key to them winning the championship. They're going to have a hard time beating the Bucks. The Bucks punished the Nets physically. They said, you know what? All right, we can't match the big three, but we're going to beat you up physically. And those dudes, Connaughton and Vincenzo and Greek and Middleton, they got size. They got the ability to defend. They can go after the Nets offensively. So it's going to be that's a great series. Milwaukee and the Nets are going to be a great series. The Jazz and the Clippers are going to be a great series. What's not going to be a great series is the Sixers, which is they're beating the brakes off Washington. They're beating Washington like they're a high school team right now. The Sixers and the Hawks. And I'm going to tell you why the Sixers will mop the floor with the Hawks if they get in there. Let's do the Sixers first. The Sixers are just toying with the Hawks, 132 to 103. And Embiid, 36 points. Tobias Harris. I might call him playoff Tobias Harris. Danny Green, 5 of 9. Danny Green is making threes. Uh-oh. That's trouble for the rest of the entire NBA. Curry, hitting three-point shots. Ben Simmons going inside for 14 points. And everybody else, the rest of the bench contributes. You know, Thibault could guard the heck out of you. They guard you, and they play good playoff defense. You got Doc Rivers, who's been there and done that, who's got a chip on his shoulder with a lot to prove. The Sixers will go on. I believe they'll play the Hawks because the Hawks destroyed the Knicks this weekend in Atlanta, 113 to 96. And then Friday, they beat them 105 to 94. They totally dominated the Knicks. And you know what it is? The Hawks play pretty good defense. They need the Knicks up. Randall can't get going. 7 to 19. Barrett was okay. 21 points. Rose is Rose. He did what he had to do, but they took away Bullock's 3. They took his airspace away. And Burks is not going off. He's only had 12 points this game. And the Knicks are young, and they probably need another piece. What I think is going to happen with Atlanta up 3-1, they're going to go back to the Garden. They're going to be slightly overconfident, and the Knicks are going to be desperate. And they're going to ride off that Garden crowd. They're going to beat up the Hawks, and they're going to celebrate. They're going to play like the best. This is going to be a best Knick game of the year. And they're going to send the game 6, and the Hawks probably finish them off in 6. And the Knicks will probably battle a little better in Atlanta, and then Young will do what he has to do. But I think the Knicks have a really great effort at home in them. And then the Hawks will win in 6 and get ready to get beat up by the Sixers. That's a terrible matchup. The Sixers match up perfectly with the Hawks because now, and this is the thing, Trae Young's going right around the Knicks defenders like he's got a plane to catch. Shoom to the right, shoom to the left, dishing it off to Collins, dishing it off to Bogdanovich in the corner, giving Collins the ball, who's hitting threes and getting dunks, throwing alley-oops to Capella because he's just scoring at will and driving at will. 27 points, 9 assists. And he could do whatever he wants. That is not going to happen against the Philadelphia 76ers because you got Ben Simmons, Thibault, Tobias Harris. You got some dogs. And you got length. You got Embiid. Embiid's going to shellac this front line. And the front line is tough, but they're not big. Collins and Capella and Hunter are tough. And Gallinari's giving you good bench points to 21 points today, but they have no size. They don't have that kind of size. Not too many people do, but the Bucks have guys, but the Hawks don't. And Embiid's going to terrorize the Hawks. And they have nobody for Simmons. I think the Hawks are on a mission to beat the Knicks, and then that's going to be it. And I give the Hawks one game against the Sixers. Now the Hawks got to win. If they lose game 5, the pressure's going to be on the Hawks. They got to show some killer instinct. They're still young. They better put the Knicks away. But if they do, they'll lose to the Sixers. And I'll give, because I'll have, it'll be a gentleman's sweep. The Sixers will whoop